Welcome to the handover video for your new WildAx Aurora Leisure XL. We'll start our video handover tour on the exterior of the vehicle, moving to the interior when we come back round to the habitation door. Not connected to the central locking is the fuel cap. You can just open it by hand. Here you'll find the fill point for the AdBlue and for the diesel. The vehicle comes with two keys, one key for everything Fiat based, and then a secondary key which is for everything WildAx based. Release the key, in, turn and release. Fill with diesel. There's a handy little hook for hanging on the fuel flap there. Once you've put diesel in the vehicle, simply lock it and close the flap. Underneath the passenger seat in the cab area you'll find the toolbox for the vehicle, and underneath the carpet you'll find the access hatch to the vehicle battery compartment. Now it's a little bit awkward to get to it, so there are remote posts for jump starting the vehicle should that ever be required, and I'll show you those when we go under the bonnet. Speaking of going under the bonnet, first release for the bonnet catch is on the passenger side, the near side of the vehicle. The secondary catch for the bonnet is located just underneath the bonnet at the front there. Underneath the bonnet you'll find the fill point for the washer fluid. This is the only thing you should ever have to top up on a new vehicle. The coolant level and the brake fluid is accessed by removing these three, or undoing these three catches and removing this section of the trim. You shouldn't have to do that. That will only get done when your vehicle is being serviced. Oil filler cap, similarly, shouldn't have to ever top up oil in this vehicle. It'll only be done while the vehicle is being serviced. There is no dipstick in the current model of Ducato. It's an electronic dipstick, and you'll see it will come up on the dashboard when you put the key in the ignition to begin with to tell you that the oil level is good. Now the remote post we spoke about for jump starting the vehicle, here you'll see the earth, and down here is a flap which, if you put the ignition key in, it releases a lock, up it comes, and you'll see a paddle there, and that is where you attach the positive. Continuing our tour of the exterior of the vehicle, we come on the offside to the freshwater fill point. This time it's the WildAx key. It's a simple, like a fuel cap, unlock, take it off, and a garden hose will fill that water tank. Beside that you'll see the flue for the boiler. Never obstruct that. The boiler will sense if there is any obstruction, and the back pressure will cause the safety feature of the boiler to cut in and the boiler will switch off. Just below there you'll find the drain taps for the freshwater and the wastewater. For a full winter drain down, it's very simple. You open the tap for the freshwater, the blue one, the grey water, the grey one or the wastewater, and inside the vehicle, as you can see here, just beside the boiler, there's a small yellow valve. Move it to the upright position and that will drain the water from your boiler. Once all that water has been drained down, switch on your water pump, open a tap. This will get rid of any residual water in the pipes, then switch off the water pump, leaving both these outside taps open and your inside taps open, but your water pump switched off. That will leave your system open, and hopefully you'll not have any accidents during the winter months. Now, access to your cassette toilet is via this hatch here. To release the cassette toilet, it's a green tab, which you can see behind the black handle there. You lift that up and the cassette will draw out quite easily. Now, to empty the cassette, you turn this part of the cassette through 90 degrees, remove the cap, pressing this button, this green button at the rear, to release the air pressure, and your waste material exits from here into the disposal point. Chemicals inside there, pour down your chemicals. If you're using liquid chemicals, do not put liquid chemicals down the toilet bowl. Add about a litre of water, give the tank a good shake to activate the chemicals, and return it to the inside of the vehicle, listening out for, there we go, it's good and sound. You hear a definite click. as the green button inserts. Also on the off side of the vehicle is the electric hookup point. Always plug into the vehicle first and then carry your other end over to the hookup point. Never plug into the hookup point and carry a live lead back to the vehicle. Opening the rear of the vehicle, we can see the mechanism for operating the bed. Just before we go there, we'll have a wee look at the storage. Plenty of storage space under the bed on one side, accessible from the outside. And on this side, there's a little bit of storage space, but most of this is taken up by your fuse box and your leisure battery. Now, fuse box is made up of two component parts. 12-volt spade fuses are along here, and there is a diagram inside your manual that tells you what fuse is for what item. And on this side you have your trip switches. When you plug into mains, you can run a test. Trip switches in the up position. That allows you to use 240 volts when hooked up on a campsite. And this is the control panel for your solar panel, and it just sits quietly there. As long as you have a green light in one, you're okay. This panel will charge two batteries, but you only have the one battery in the vehicle, and at the moment it's showing green, so there is energy being fed into your leisure battery from the solar panel. To make up the bed is very simple. All you do is take down the clips on both sides and then slide the bed out. You slide out the bed from the other side, and then the cushions fill in the gap in the middle. When putting the bed away, don't be tempted just to push this section back in. You have to lift it up slightly and then gently roll it back in. And that's your bed back into a couch. The table for the dinette area is stored on the back door, as is the awning handle for winding out the awning. It's too windy this afternoon to demonstrate the awning. That will be demonstrated to you on the day of dispatch, and if necessary we'll take the van indoors. And so to the interior. As you open the habitation door, the first thing you'll find is the button for the step. Out comes the step. Below that button is the entrance to your gas locker. The vehicle has come supplied with a new full bottle of Calor gas. To open the valve in the Calor gas, you turn the brass knob anti-clockwise as far as it will go, and then clockwise just a little turn. You have a drive safe regulator, so you do not have to switch the gas off constantly every time you're driving the vehicle. If you are in an accident or you hit a pothole, this button here that you can see there will pop out. To reset it, you simply push it back in, hold it for 3 seconds, and then release. And now we come to the interior control panels. There are two panels. There's the first 12-volt master panel just as you come in through the door, and there's a secondary panel that operates the hot water and the heating system, the Truma panel. We'll come to that in just a moment. It's important that you always switch the 12-volt panel on first. So power on. And now switch on the 12-volt supply. This then switches on the supply to all the lights around the vehicle, which you can then operate. That's all the roof lights. The interior reading lights all operate the same way. The first touch brings on an ambient light. The second touch brings on the reading of the spot lamp. Third touch switches it off again. There are lights around the roof light, and they are operated by a simple switch on the roof light itself. Next to the 12-volt button is the water pump button. Just get into the habit of using that on demand. So when you're washing dishes and you want water, switch on the water pump. If there's no water in the system and the water pump is running, it will burn out. So it's a good habit to get into operating it that way. To charge the water system, after you've filled the water tank, switch on the water pump and open one of the taps in the hot position until you get continuity of flow, as you see here. As the water has been drawn through the system, you'll find there's a lot of air and it spurts quite a bit. That finishes as soon as the boiler has been charged. Next to the water pump is the light for the exterior awning, the exterior light, and beside that is a button which will, at the moment it's at 50%, adjust the brightness of the screen of the display. Let's take it up to 80 and switch off. Program, you can change from Celsius, as it's showing here, interior and exterior temperatures. You can have that in Fahrenheit if you want. We're on 24-hour clock at the moment. You can change that to 12-hour if you so wish. It's entirely up to you. Do that all through the program. How much water you have? At the moment we've got 60% in the tank. And what's the condition of the batteries? That's what that button there does. Now, I said it's important that you switch that panel on first, and the reason for that is this panel, your Truma control panel, the first thing it does when it's switched on is go looking for a 12-volt power supply. If you haven't switched on the 12-volt supply on the main panel, then this will come up with an error code and nothing will work, and you'll have to switch everything down and do a reset. So, switch it on. And here we have all the things that you can do with your Truma control panel. Let's start with the room climate. Do you want heating or do you want ventilation? Well, it's not quite the middle of summer yet, so we'll go for heating. Now, comfort will gradually bring the heating up. Now, the reason I'm getting a warning is I'm not plugged into mains at the moment, and the setting was for diesel and electricity. So if I switch off electric off and we're running on diesel only, we'll be able to fire everything up. So we're sitting at 22. We could go up to 29 degrees if we so desired. If you press fast, then the heating will reach that temperature quicker. It won't get any warmer, but it will get there quicker at the expense of the hot water. So if you go for fast heating, your hot water won't heat up, but your interior temperature will rise quickly. On comfort, it will rise at it's a slower speed, probably about 30 minutes to get up to 29 degrees from a standing start on a cold, very cold day. But your water will heat up at the same time. So energy source diesel, and we're going for a comfort. So let's go back to the main setting, and you can now see green because we're switched on and we've selected temperature of 29. Hot water, similarly, we'll turn the hot water on. It's running on diesel. If we were plugged into electric, I would run it on electric rather on diesel. Save your fuel. You're on a campsite, you're not metered. If you want to select electric, just press the button or switch it off. 900 watts or 1800 watts, think of that as a 1 bar or a 2 bar electric fire. Water doesn't get any hotter if you draw 1800 watts, it will just get there a little bit quicker. Back to the main screen. Faster heating is exactly the same as faster room heating. This will sacrifice heating the room to get your water up to 40 quicker. Now there's different temperatures for the water. 40 suitable for washing dishes, as it says here. Next setting, 60 degrees, suitable for a shower. Back to the main screen, and we now have hot water at no room heating now because I decided to go for the sacrificial hot water. So back to the main screen. Notifications, if you do have an error code coming up, it will come up here. And you go into notifications and it will tell you what the error code actually means. As I say, 9 times out of 10, it means you've just switched this panel on before you've switched the other panel. The easiest thing to do in that case is to switch this panel off, switch the other panel off, wait for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then switch them back on in the right sequence. iNet app is available. You can Bluetooth connect to the control panel and operate it from an app, or you can get a SIM card into your Wi-Fi unit and do it remotely from outside the vehicle. Settings that, similarly to the other panel, will allow you to change from Celsius to Fahrenheit, to change the time from 24-hour clock to 12-hour clock, and to do a complete factory reset should the need arise. And now we'll quickly just switch everything off, select room, press the off button, select hot water, press the off button, turn off, standby or turn off, we'll go for turn off, turning off, screen goes blank, everything's switched off. And then equally important that you switch this panel off before you switch the other panel off. If you switch the other panel off first, 12-volt power supply is robbed from that panel and you will get the error code. To make up the front single bed is very simple. There's a lever down here. Raise this lever up, slide the chair forwards, fill in the infill cushions, and you have the bed after you've of course turned the driver's seat around. After you've switched the gas on to light the cooker, press and turn the dial to the high position, press the igniter, hold the dial in for a couple of seconds until the thermocouple heats up, then release. Down to a peep, back up to full and off. And the same for the other dial, the other rings as well. Similarly for the grill, press and turn, holding it in until it's lit. Hold it for a couple of seconds until the thermocouple heats up and the flame is constant. You can do the same with the oven. Hold it for a few seconds, then release. And that's your oven. Now, this particular cooker is not fitted with an emergency cutout. So if you bring the glass down, the flames will continue to burn. Never bring the glass down with the flame on. The glass will get hot and it will shatter. And always make sure that these have cooled down before you close the lid. To switch on your Thetford's 12-volt compressor fridge, press and hold the on button until it comes on. These bars indicate how cold the fridge is set at. The more bars, the colder the fridge. And you can take them up and down like so. There's a nighttime mode which you can put on for silent running. The fridge isn't really that loud, but if you're a light sleeper you can hear it. You can take it off and the fridge is more efficient with the compressor running at full power. As long as the blue light's on, the fridge is operating. To switch the fridge off, just simply press and hold until all the lights go out. To operate the toilet, you simply pull forward this silver handle and that opens the blade, giving access to the cassette below. The flush, 3, 2, 1. The water pump must be on for the flush to operate. The flush is operated simply by pressing and holding the button there. Lights around here indicate various stages. This one doesn't operate. This light is purely for vehicles that have a separate tank for holding the flush water, and that would come on to tell you it was low or empty. This tells you if the cassette has been removed. If the cassette's not in, that light comes on. When it's half full, that light comes on. When the cassette is full and needs emptied, that light comes on. Standard dashboard layout as you would have on any car or van. Over here we have the control for the mirrors. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 and an off position. You select the first position going clockwise, and using the joystick you can adjust the top mirror. Second position, the bottom mirror. Third position, the bottom mirror on the passenger side. Fourth position, large mirror on the passenger side, and then back to off. Remote locking for the inside of the vehicle when you're in the vehicle, and windows for both passenger and driver side. Moving up here we have the cab screens Screen on the other side also has a magnetic strip. They meet in the middle and seal. Very important that you have that distinctive click when you put them away, so that when you're turning a corner that doesn't fly in front of you. Similarly with the side windows, pinch, the windows, the blinds run on rails, come out until the magnetic strip meets and attaches. The blinds are made from paper, they are fairly robust, but you should always operate them with two hands. Stock wise, on the right hand side of the steering wheel we have the windscreen wipers, on the left hand side we have the controls for the lights. On the steering wheel itself you have the navigation buttons for the onboard computer, and on this side you have the control buttons for your cruise control. Behind the steering wheel on the left and the right there are buttons to increase and decrease the volume and to toggle up through the channels. When you switch the vehicle on at first and switch on the media unit, it comes up with the radio. You can pair your phone, you can set your profile, language, display settings, etc. And then you have your trip computer here as well. Standard controls for air conditioning, direction of airflow in the vehicle and fan speed. Down here we have the power on and the mute button for the radio. Press and hold if you want to switch the radio off completely. Just press once if you want to mute. You also have a volume control here for the passenger. Hazards, internal locking, anti-skid off, warning if your airbag, if you haven't fastened your seatbelts or if you haven't switched on an airbag. USB and USB-C power points and 12 volt power points. These are engine fed, they run off the vehicle and so will not work unless the ignition is switched on. To change gear, foot on brake, bring in the button at the back of the gear knob and select reverse, and whether the radio is on or not, the reversing camera will engage. And that concludes your handover of your new WildAx Aurora Leisure XL. We certainly hope this vehicle will bring you lots of miles and lots of smiles. Thank you very much for choosing to buy from Highland Camper Vans. And if you ever need us, we're just on the end of the phone. Enjoy your new van.